Last time it was hard for me to accept. It scared me to see myself in daily struggle for survival, and I felt that there is more to life than survival. This time I could see it with less resistance. You see, when you're resisting it and you're denying it, what's happening is that you're feeling it, but you're trying to tell yourself a different story about it. And then what happens is that your body is in tension. So like what you're feeling is you're struggling to survive, or you're feeling you're not earning enough money, or that survival's hard, but you're not acknowledging it to yourself. And then maybe you're blaming society, or wishing for alternative ways to live, or daydreaming about winning the lottery. And then you're telling yourself a different story. And what this does is this builds up complications in the chakra body, so in the feeling body. And it's like a lie. So at the bottom of it, you feel vulnerable and you feel like you're not surviving well. And then on the surface, you tell yourself all these illusory stories, which actually keeps that feeling in play. And basically, the best thing that you can do is to acknowledge the base level of it, that you feel like you can't survive, which is something you'll have been taught by the education system. Our education system in Europe is absolutely shite. Absolutely shite. I'm so grateful that we have a society, and that we're currently in the evolutionary process where we see education as a right for every person that's born into our society, and I'm super grateful for that. But for the majority of people, including myself, the education system really fails. Unless you're really intelligent, it really fails you, or you've got strong intelligence in a conformist type of way. Not like you can be strongly intelligent and still not fit into the society's education system. But an education system that believes that in order to learn you've got to work is totally out of sync with our natural way of being. All other animals play to learn how to work. So a dog play fights, a dog play hunts, a cat play hunts, a cat play fights. We play to learn how to grow our abilities. But in Western culture, we see, or most education systems see, that play is for playtime, and the rest of the time you have to force yourself to work and to do things that you don't want to do. And it's, and I'm super against it. I would say though that I'm so for our society. The fact that we see it as a basic human right is really beautiful, but I'm sorry, I'm going to say this, I'm going to lose loads of audience members now, but having kids and sending them into the education system, the government education system, I know that you most probably don't have the finances not to do it, but this is a really bad idea. It really fucks us up. To be taught every day for 13 years that work is work and play is play is completely against our nature. We will naturally find our way of wanting to survive if we're allowed to grow our talents. Not to be forced to be good at English and to maths and geography and all these crazy subjects, and to sit behind a desk. For a kid with so much energy at the age of 5 to be sitting around behind a desk for most of the day is craziness. It's a really bad system. And to be judged and to be put through exams, it really mentally is not good for your child. And so if you're going to have kids, and if you have kids, really think about, how are you going to educate them? Like, if we want our society to progress, you've got to, as a parent, think, and we want our society to be more open and more loving and more free, you have to think, when you have kids, how are you going to educate them? Because our society does not offer a good education system. It might make them good at certain skills, which are good for being in an office, but it won't make them happy. It will make them seriously unhappy. I would say that it's most probably only 20 or 30% of the kids actually thrive in school, and they're ones that are meant to work in offices and are good at these kind of academic or these academic roles. But there's so many more jobs than that in our society. And then what happens is you go out into the workplace and you're not somebody that's meant to be sitting behind the work desk all day, but then you end up in these kind of technical jobs because that's what you've been trained to do. And then it's really against your system, and your system is screaming, no, 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 every day. And you've built up years and years of unhappiness around it. And then to break out of that, you first of all have to learn new skills. So learn a different skill set. And then you also have to find out what it is that you want to do, because your society have taught you so much. There's so many things that you can't do, and that you have to sit behind that table and work all day. So if you are having survival issues, you'll mostly be traumatized by school, and you'll mostly be traumatized by your parents forcing you to be good at school. Like, I know that parents are doing it because they come out into the society and they realize that if you do better at school, then you can have more money and your life will be easier. But that's so mentally unhealthy for a child to be in that environment. And there are lots of schools now in Sweden and in some of the northern countries that are promoting play over work. So it's child-led, and you follow the child's play and what they intuitively do and naturally go towards. So basically what you're having psychological issues that come from your education, your belief around the production of money, and your belief around survival. And that's got to be changed. So you have to understand what it is that you think, what it is that you're telling yourself, what it is that you believe around survival. And most people believe that if they don't work hard, they can't survive. And like attracts like. So if you believe that deep down, then that's going to be your experience in everyday living. And it's just looking at that, what is it that I deeply believe, and seeing it to be not be true. And then you can work with it to try and change it on the human level. This isn't non-duality. This is about the personality structure, the illusionary personality structure that grows once you believe you're someone. But you can tidy the cage, you can tidy up what it is to be you, to make your survival easier, to make your response to work, to the environment easier. Now it feels relaxing to admit that simply the body wants to survive and get most pleasure and avoid the pain, a game that can't be won. Thanks for that. Oh, that's great. And what is more lies beyond survival? And I have a question. In the last days, I find myself really missing my ex-girlfriend, and when I ask myself, what do I want? I feel the body wants to feel safe, in contact and loved, and also there is a wanting to come home in the deepest sense. Could it be that survival and longing for home mix together? And what do you recommend for handling it? First of all, coming back to what you feel and finding out for yourself. I would reckon that that longing and missing her more than likely is about wanting to be home and wanting to be safe. And just realizing that. And realizing that that's what our relationships tend to consist of. And there's nothing wrong with that, but a lot of our relationships do tend to be based on survival dynamics, that you want to feel safe, that you want companionship, that you want intimacy. And these are survival dynamics because surviving alone is a lot more risky and a lot more dangerous. And then also two minds are better than one, so surviving with another and bouncing off the ideas and coming to a balance is better than just one mind. So all of it's about survival, affection and love, and all of this improves your happiness and your sense of well-being, and then helps improve your relationship to the world. Feeling part of a community, feeling like there's somebody there to support you. And there's nothing wrong with wanting these things, but just being really honest with yourself. And seeing that your freedom, if you look for freedom in there, you won't find it. That to the body might want it, and that's fine, and the body can go after it, but you won't actually find what you're truly looking for in it. Like, so those are impulses that arise in the body, just like eating food and finding shelter. So there's impulse to also mate and to be in companionship. And these thoughts that you're saying are much more real and true than the thoughts of like, I want these big romantic stories to find my soulmate who I'm with for the rest of my life, blah, 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 all these types of things. So just being really honest with it. And then seeing that that doesn't actually bring you what you want. That's just the movement in life. So the movement has an impulse to be in part of a group or to be with another person. But your freedom is right here. So whether you have that or not doesn't disrupt your freedom. And the freedom is the experiencer of this. The freedom is this moment. The freedom is what never leaves, that's always here. Always here. Yeah, da, 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 da. Hi Lisa, I'm planning to send my kid to a Waldorf school in Sweden, and it's funny that I listened to you just now that I'm going to sit all night fixing the papers to submit tomorrow morning. Yeah, that's great. I think in the northern parts, so in Germany, in Sweden, there are a lot more Waldorf schools. I don't know about France and England and Spain and Italy and all that in Europe. But I know certainly in German and Steiner schools, which are a different approach to learning. Like, I don't know how anyone could think that that could possibly be a good thing to send your kid to mainstream school. It's really not so nice for a lot of kids. But we're so indoctrinated to it. Like, I was watching this comedy program of this young kid, so he was being interviewed and he was talking about, he was in school, so they were asking about school and he was like, yeah, they like send me there like for like 10 days straight, and I have to go from like 9 a.m. to like 6 a.m. and he's like, it's like being in prison, it's torture. And all the audience was laughing, but laughing in a way like they know, and they're like, welcome to the real world, which is such a bad attitude. Like, society thinks that work or education should be this torture camp, like should be this thing where you're doing things constantly that you don't like doing. Thanks, I really appreciate your answer and that you don't enjoy those panels. I sensed that, but it was helpful because it made me realize something about where I've been stuck. I keep using the natural coming and going of the character as evidence that I still have a separate me. Once you helped me bring it back to the simplicity of just this, I realized it's just a smoke and leftover from believing in the real. Thanks again and again. My pleasure, Amy. Yeah. Yes, Lee, agree with you 200% on the education system. It's so overdue for reform. The Rudolf Steiner schools are very different in terms of approach, but they're still considered a little too hippie even in Scandinavia. I do think things definitely are moving in the right way though. Yeah. Do I know Shiva Shakti interior? Yes. I've been there lots. Okay, time for me to go. I didn't finish all the questions, but it's coming up to past 8 o'clock. That's for 2 hours I've been doing. So that's enough for tonight. So I'm here again on Wednesday at 6 p.m. French time. So you're very welcome to join me. Thank you for all your questions. And yeah, and if you want to join this online retreat I'm doing, then subscribe to my website or keep updated on my website, and I'll put it on there in the next coming days. Thanks guys, bye.